All right, so what we can do in this second session is we are going to start up with a recap of what we studied in the last session. And once we go through that, if there are any questions that arises, feel free to ask me. If not, we'll move on to the next topic for the class. So sharing my screen here. So yesterday we started off with introductions. After we went through the introductions, we talked about the role of a business analyst. And what we realized is a business analyst role is to document the requirements by meeting the business and more like an interface between the business and the IT world. We understand or we understood that a business analyst can write requirements for internal and external systems. What is a requirement? Any changes that needs to be made in a system can be a requirement. How a system should work is a requirement. So we essentially capture the requirements by talking to the business, and we document them in the format of FRD or a use case or a user story. We also went quickly through the ingredients of a good business analyst, and we realized that it's important to have good interpersonal skills, good communication skills, active listening, ability to ask questions, and ability to take notes. Those are some key characteristics or key ingredients that will make a good business analyst. And then we captured the role of the different teams or team members within the IT world. So there's a project manager that manages an IT project. There is a business analyst whose job is to document the requirements. Then is a system architect who reads the documents created by the business analyst and creates the system design. And then the next role is of a developer. And the role of a developer is to write the code. They read every requirement that the BA wrote, convert that into code. And while they do this, if they have any questions which are technical, they go and get answers by speaking to a system architect. Then the next role is a DBA, database administrator. And what does a DBA do? A DBA is again reviews every document, every page of the requirements document, and identifies what new piece of data is entered in the system. And they end up creating data tables. They end up creating placeholders for this piece of data to reside in the database. So they manage and they create the database. And the last role is quality assurance. We refer them as QA. And what they do is they ensure that the system that has been coded is actually working as per the requirements specified by the BA in the requirements document. So they ensure the quality of the application. So these are the different roles that we work with on the IT side. Where we stopped was the role that you work on the business side. However, before I move on to the next topic, wanted to make sure if there are any questions that I can answer based on what I just reviewed. All right, no question, moving on. So when we talk on the business side, we work with a role that's referred as a business owner. Anyone has an idea who a business owner is, what a business owner is? Anyone?
The person who invests in the business, like financially.
Okay. Not really, but let's understand. So again, I'm going to take the same example we took yesterday of MetLife. And we understood that MetLife has a couple of different products that they're offering. And the products that they were offering were life insurance, home insurance, pet insurance, auto insurance, and so on. So now what happens is that each of these products that they're offering, what MetLife treats them as, they refer this as a separate LOB. Each of these are referred as a separate LOBs. Have you heard this word before, LOBs? Any idea what LOB refers to? LOB stands for
Line of business?
line of business. That is correct. So what MetLife says is the parent company is MetLife. However, the way MetLife treats is MetLife says each of this product is a separate business within MetLife. So they refer it as a separate business, line of business within MetLife. So, and all this line of businesses, they refer to the CEO of MetLife, that is the main parent company. Now, each LOB has to have that one person that is responsible for managing the show, that is responsible for running the business. And that person is referred as a business owner. So each of these LOBs will have their own separate business owners. So what happens at the beginning of each fiscal year is MetLife will give money to each LOBs. So for example, MetLife will say for the year of 2021, we are going to give you $3 billion to each LOBs. Now, it is at the discretion of the business owner as to how they want to spend the $3 billion for the well-being of their LOB. So for example, the business owner of life insurance will say, I want to spend $1.5 billion in automating some of my manual processes, because currently we take a lot of time to do those processes. There are a lot of errors involved while I do those processes, and I don't think it is really efficient. If we automate this via systems, we'll reduce on the employee costs, and we are also going to increase efficiencies, and we'll also be improving the revenue and product margins. So we'll make some system enhancements, and I'll invest $1.5 billion in that. So what I'm trying to make you realize is that business owner is the person that identifies two things. Can you tell me what are the two things that a business owner identifies with respect to IT projects? I briefly told you. The first thing they identify is they identify the need of an IT project. They believe that we need to do this change. And the second thing is they are the project sponsor. What does this mean? They are the project sponsor. What do you understand by that? What do you understand by they are the project sponsor?
They're the one who is going to finalize, for example, if we want to invest in a software.
Or let's talk about that. Let's say if they say that I need to make some change in my system, they want to do a system enhancement. So they'll identify the need that, yes, that's an IT project I need to do. And I said they are the project sponsor. So what does that mean?
I mean, they're gonna financially back the project. I don't know.
Good. So what does financially back the project mean?
I mean, they're gonna like I mean, they're gonna hire the employees needed for that project. I mean, not
Or
really hire, but invest in hiring the.
exactly. So in other words, whatever is the expense associated with this IT project, they're going to pay for it. And where does the funding come from? It comes from MetLife. They give them every year some money to play with. So they decide that how am I going to use this money? Can I use this a part of the money to make some changes in my IT system? So eventually it's going to benefit my line of business. So they identify the need of a project and they pay for the expenses involved to take care of the project. Are we all on the same page? Do we understand this?
I think I do.
All right. So now I want to walk you through how does a project begin? How does everything start? So we want to go right from the basics and understand how does an IT project begin. So where I want you to take is I want you to take you to the year 1999. So if you look at this screenshot here, this is a screenshot of bankofamerica.com. Now look at this screenshot and what do you think is missing from this screenshot?
Mitchell, I would say
Yes.
your login information.
Yeah, so beyond login, what else is missing? There's no option of online banking,
Yeah.
right? So, and this is how bankofamerica.com would look like in the year 1999 or 1995, because there was no concept of online banking then. What they had was they simply had a website which talks about what Bank of America is and what are the different products they offer. But there were no capabilities of online banking. So for the sake of understanding, we'll imagine that we are in the year 1999, 2000, and currently Bank of America does not have any capabilities of online banking. So now in the year 1999, business owner of Bank of America identifies the need that it is about time that we introduce online banking capabilities on our website. So the IT project that the business owner thought of is adding the capabilities of online banking to the existing website. So the very first thing that the business owner would do when they come up with an idea of an IT project is they are going to assign a project manager to take care of the IT project. What the project manager is going to do then, as soon as the project manager is hired, is the project manager is going to hire a senior business analyst. The project manager is going to hire a system architect, and the project manager is going to hire a senior developer. Now, once these 4 people are hired on board, what they would do is they would then go and meet the business owner and would ask a question to the business owner. Any idea what is the question that they would ask to the business owner?
About the requirements, budget.
Good job. So rather than the requirements, can you go one level higher? Because requirements are a little bit detailed. So you're asking me the right question, but not using the right verbiage. At this time, the requirements may not be defined, but what is it that they would need at this point from the business owner?
Change? What kind of change?
Exactly. They at least would want an overview of, can you tell me, what do you want to do? What is in your mind? What is the change that you want to implement? So they ideally at this point would ask for a document that is referred as a BRD. BRD stands for Business Requirements Document. So ideally, when they join the company, the project manager, senior BA, system architect, senior developer would connect with the business owner and would say, hey, can you help us with a BRD for the project? Now, according to the books, according to how it should work, the business owner, when they think of a new idea or a project, the first thing they really should be doing is they would end up creating a document which is known as a BRD, Business Requirements Document. Now, this is a document that is used to define the scope of the project. 10 out of 10 times when they go and meet the business owner and they ask for a BRD, any idea what the business owner is going to reply?
I don't know, maybe they have not prepared it.
Sorry, what did you say?
They have not prepared anything like that, but
Exactly,
they just know.
exactly. Why? Because they're not great at documenting things and they don't enjoy those things. So they'll say, you know what, I know what I want. Unfortunately, I just don't have it documented. So what do you think should happen then? What is the next logical thing that could be done?
Senior business analyst or project manager have to ask the logical question related to the change supposed to be done.
Absolutely. So then the senior BA will say, that's all right. Why don't we do this? Why don't we set up a meeting and why don't we meet up? And let me ask you questions and I'll end up creating a BRD for you. All right. So then they set up a meeting and this is what the BRD should contain. And this is what are the things that you should include in BRD. That's what I'm writing here. I don't want you to document this because I am going to email this to you. So I just want you to really pay attention to what I do here and ask me questions, if any. So the first thing that you want in the BRD is you want to document the current business problem. So you ask the business owner, what is the problem that we are trying to solve here? So the business owner says that, and I want you to again imagine this is 1999, all right? This is not 2021. So the business owner says, primarily there are two current problems. The first problem is limited banking hours. We are only open 9 to 5, Monday to Fridays. We are not open on the weekends. So this provides very limited window for our customers to come and do banking with us. We thought of having extended hours beyond 5 on weekdays, and we thought of having our bank open on the weekends. But then our current revenue model is such that it does not support the extra labor cost, and it's just not feasible for us to survive. So it's very limited hours that we have for our customers to bank with. It's not a great thing that we are providing. Number two, the other option we have for our customers is they can call the contact center, customer service. But again, they have to spend 10 to 15 minutes in the queue before they speak to an agent. So again, it's providing them not a great customer experience. And beyond that, every phone call that they make, it costs us dash dollars per call, and it's very expensive for us. So very high call volume and very high call center expenses. Now I said every phone call they make, it costs us dash dollars. Can you tell me, or can you give it a try as to what do you think is a ballpark cost of every phone call you make to the customer service? What is the expense they involved behind each phone call? Any idea?
The employees who are answering?
Yeah. So basically, I'm talking about the company, right? They have to set up a call center. They pay for the technology to support the call center. They pay for the employees. They pay for the supervisors. So altogether, there's an expense involved in running the call center. So then the total expense involved that they pay monthly versus the total phone calls they receive, they divide that. And they come up with a number saying every phone call that we answer this is the expense we bear to support the call center. So what is that number? What do you think every phone call costs to the company?
I will take a guess. $35.
Yeah, $35. Anyone else? A random number.
Are
So
we
are you? Yeah,
uh,
go ahead, Imran.
are we talking in 1999 or are we talking in 2021?
I was talking about, let's say, uh, I'm talking about because I did this analysis in the year 2012. So I'm talking about that year. But
Uh,
just give it a try, yeah.
I would say it's cents on the dollar.
Okay. That time it was $14 a phone call. It was very expensive, $14. So I mean, after 9 years, I would have assumed it could be around $16, $17 a phone call. Uh, and so the project I worked then was we wanted to introduce a capability of click to chat. So we wanted to introduce customer service via chat. But before we do that, they did some analysis as to how much does the phone call cost, and it came out to be $14. And then when we introduced click to chat, each chat costed them 25 cents a chat. So that was a huge win for them to divert everyone. So the reason I'm stressing you to understand how much expenses are involved is I want you to understand the value of all the IT projects. Because what are we doing through these IT projects? We're trying to provide what? We're trying to provide self-service capabilities. We are saying, I'm giving you a system, just log in and get every information you want any time of the day. If you are given if you have two options, would you call customer care to get an answer? Or would you just log in into a system and do it yourself? I'm sure all of us would prefer the second option. So it's a win-win for everyone. For the customer, you can just get the information within a minute. And for the business, you're reducing the expenses because you're promoting the customers to not call us and just log in and get the information yourself. And that is the reason all these businesses are investing millions of dollars behind their IT systems because it's a one-time cost and then they have a lot of win-win situations. They can reduce a lot of and ongoing expenses. So these were the current business problems. So if I'm writing the BRD, the way I'm going to word this is, and I want you to just bear with me while I type, but I want you to see how you would word this. Currently, Bank of America offers limited banking hours on weekdays. This does not provide enough service hours for the customers, as the bank is not open in the evenings as well as on the weekends. Moreover, when a customer calls the contact center, it takes them at least 20 minutes before they can speak to an agent. This provides a bad customer service experience. Moreover, each phone call that the customer makes costs us $3 per hour, which is a significant expense for the business. So these are the current business problems. So now if these are the current business problems, the next question you want to ask to the business owner is, how do you wish to solve them? So you say, what is the proposed solution? If these are your current problems, how do you wish to solve them? The goal, Bank of America would like to introduce online banking capabilities so that the customer can log in to their account and manage their accounts 24/7. This would also significantly reduce call center volume and will help reduce the expenses associated with running a call center. So that's the proposed solution. The third question you ask is, systems impacted. I want to understand your understanding. What do you think? What do you believe are systems impacted? What do I write here?
The internal system and how the documents or even the processes are done so far in the call center.
Why did you say internal system?
Because that's the first place where they have to make changes, and then second would be the external, where customers would be involved.
Great. Now help me understand, what changes am I making in the internal system in the call center?
We are reducing the call volume and trying to add if they want any chat services.
No. So again, understand, the chat service example was a project that I worked on, and I was giving you an example of that. In this is the year 1999. We are not introducing chat service. We're simply adding online banking capabilities.
So there will be definitely reduction in number of employees.
Correct, but then does it impact the system? Do you have to make any changes in the code for internal system for that?
I guess not.
Perfect. So that would not be impacted. So when I'm saying systems impacted, it means in order to do the solution, what is the system in which I'm making a code change? Is what systems impacted mean.
Website?
Correct. And that's the only thing, right? So
Yeah.
I'm going to say online banking capabilities will be added to customer facing website bankofamerica.com. Simple. Okay. So I hope you understand what systems impacted are. In order for me to do this, what is the code change? In which system am I making the code change? And we are only making the change in this system. The next thing you want to write is assumptions or dependencies. Any idea what assumptions or dependencies are? Give it a try. The reason I'm asking you questions versus not giving you answers is I want you to think and connect the dots. Anyone? What are assumptions? What are dependencies?
This is just a guess. Maybe customers' ability to use the online banking, or maybe it's just out of the box.
Okay, bad guess. Nope. So, Azam Smith, you're saying something? Yes, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say, what could go wrong?
What can go wrong? Pretty good answer, but not the exact answer. But a good try, yeah.
I was gonna guess maybe the assumptions or dependencies, like based on the word dependencies, like depending on what happens, like it's going to be affected as far as like the system goes. Like this is dependent on the system working and going live.
Perfect. Good one. Good try. So now let me trigger some more thoughts, okay? Since we are thinking. If I would just give you the answer, you would understand what I'm saying, but it will not register in your brain. So I want this to register forever. So let's do some more brainstorming here. Remember this project we talked about in the last session? I want to introduce this PayPal capabilities in Amazon.com. So imagine, in order for this to work successfully, this change, Amazon is dependent on something. If that dependency fails, this project will not succeed. And I'm giving you a hint. That dependency comes into play when I click on pay.
Is it PayPal itself?
Exactly. So what about PayPal?
Going into PayPal system and seeing
Getting an answer.
Yeah.
Right? Going into the PayPal system and getting an answer. So what happens if PayPal does not provide you an answer? You'll not be able to, anytime PayPal is down, this is not going to work. Because that is beyond your control. Things that you cannot control if PayPal is down. So your assumption is we'll always receive a response from the PayPal every time we make a call to PayPal. Or your dependency is this functionality is dependent on receiving a confirmation from PayPal of valid or invalid login. Are we all following this? So that's your assumption, your dependency for this project. So you want to list out that what are some things on which this project is dependent. For example, and that's not in our control. If it's in our control, we can always assume that it's going to work. But that's just beyond my control. And I assume that this will work, or this will always work the way we want. Those are the things that you cannot control, but you assume that will always work for you so that this project is working successfully. So this is what the assumptions or dependency is, that we'll receive an authentication from PayPal every time we make a call. In our case, what are we doing? We are just, everything that we are doing here is internal, and we are not really dependent on any external factors for this project. So in this case, I'm going to say it's not applicable for us. We don't have any assumptions. We don't have any dependencies for this project. But had you had any, this is the place that you would document. Are we good?
Just one question. For example, if our website was on like another domain, for example, website, I have heard this Wix.com.
Yeah.
You can make your website on them. So, for example, our website is on them. So, is assumption
Correct.
and dependency
That yes. That you're assuming that Wix will be live all the time for this to work. However, these projects are multi-billion-dollar projects, and they're never dependent for such a thing to work. But assuming that they're using a third-party services, you would say yes, that's a dependency.
All right, thank you.
So I'll give you a great example, and this just happened this Friday. So one of my friends, they own a beer store. Now, what happens in a beer store? They have few things, right? They have a point of sale system. You know what point of sale is? Where you check out the product, the register. And then their point of sale is, in order to take the payments, they're using a third-party service. What was the name of the third-party service? I actually remember that. The name of the third-party service. I just want to use the right name and give you the right details. Let me just brainstorm. Alberta Payments. All right. They were using a third-party service called Alberta Payments. And suddenly, Alberta Payments, something went wrong, and they were not able to take credit card payments. So although the point of sale system is working, but their payment functionality stopped working. They could only take payments in cash, but not in credit card. So when you're writing requirements for such a project which has integration with third party, your assumptions or dependency is we'll only be able to take care of credit card payments as long as we get authentication from Alberta Payments. So if that's down, you're done, because that's something you cannot control. So that's an example of an assumption or dependency. Got it? All right, and then comes the most important part of your BRD. All right, let me ask you a very basic question, and you may not have given a thought of this. What do you think, what kind of requirements does BRD contain? Give it a try. It's right on the screen. What kind of requirements should a BRD contain? So there are different types of requirements that we gather from the business. So now I'm introducing the very first type of requirements that you would ever gather from the business. Trust me, it's very simple. It's right on the screen right now on my Word document.
BRD itself, like the current business problem?
No. So there's a type of requirement that we gather from the business. So there are different types of requirements that I'm going to teach or I'm going to talk about. So what is the very first type of requirement that the BRD will contain? It's going to be a duh moment for each of you if you can't answer this, because it's right there and it's very easy, but it's difficult. It's easy to miss out as well.
Business requirements?
Exactly. So this is the very first type of requirements I'm gathering from the business. And hence I say this document consists of business requirements and hence we call it business requirements document. There are different other kinds of requirements that I'll introduce, like functional requirements, UI requirements, scalability, performance, security requirements. However, I'm not talking about them right now. I only want to concentrate on the first kind of a requirement, which is your business requirements. So then now you want to start typing your business requirements. So your business owner says that I really want to divide this entire application into 3 modules. My first module is going to be accounts management, where customers can manage their account. My second module is going to be funds management, anything that a customer can do related to the funds. And my third module is checks management. So these are the 3 different modules that I want within my project. So then you as a BA will start asking, tell me what are the things that the customer should do within accounts management. So why don't you give it a try? Why don't you tell me what are some of the basic things that a customer should be able to do within managing their accounts?
Login and bank reconciliation if it is checking, savings, or business account.
Okay. Let's go, you know what, let me make this a little bit more easy. I think I could have done a better job here. I'm going to add one more key here, and I'm going to say profile management. Okay. Or I can say much better, I'll say digital profile management. All right, let's talk about it.
They should be able to log in. That's the first thing.
Or before login, what should they be able to do?
Register their user ID.
Thank you. So I'll say ability for the user to register. Good. Ability for the user to log in. What else? Come on, think.
Ability to view different products.
I'm talking about digital profile management. So we only want to talk about the changes that you want to make related to this module. That's another thing you want to understand as a business analyst, of grouping the requirements in the right bucket.
Okay.
So I only want to talk about in this module anything, any changes that you may want to make, which will help them manage the digital profile.
To change, make a change in that.
Good. Good enough. So these are all the things I want the user to do within the functionality, within the module of digital profile management. Make sense? So what is the format I'm using to write a business requirement? I use the language ability for the user, or ability to do this, ability for the user to do that. So If I ask you this question, what is the question that a business requirement answers? Do you understand what my question is?
You asked what is the question that business requirements answer, right?
Yes, each of this business requirement is answering a question. What is the question?
Okay. Is it what are the abilities for the user?
Love it. Perfect. Perfect. So I want you to understand that your business requirements are, so I'm trying to explain you what are business requirements, okay? So your business requirements are high. Let's write this down so you have it in your notes. No one is going to ask you what are business requirements, but you need to understand this. These are the basics of business analysis. Business requirements are high level requirements. Business requirements are high level requirements. And are used to define the project goals. In other words, a business requirement, in other words, every business requirement will identify a capability that can be performed within a system. Or you know what, a good idea is, rather than saying capability, we can replace capability with functionality. Every business requirement will identify a functionality that can be done in the system. All right, does anyone need more time on this? Are we good? All right, so let's talk about some functionalities or capabilities of accounts management. What is the first thing that I can talk about? Anything else you can think of for accounts management? So first will be to view statement and ability for the user to your yes,
I have
Krupa.
a question. This might not relate to this one, maybe, I don't know. But ability to download. So do we have to specify what format?
Absolutely. So you raised a wonderful point. Okay. So I want you to understand. I was going to ask you this question after 5 or 10 minutes, but this is a great time now. What is it that a business requirement does not answer?
That's a difficult one.
Don't think so. So a business requirement tells me what needs to be done. But what is it that it does not tell me? It says I want an ability for the user to log in. Can the developer do the coding just by this one line statement?
It does not tells us how is it supposed to be.
Perfect. And that is your job as a business analyst. What are you going to be doing? You take every high level business requirement that is a part of your BRD, and then you go into requirement gathering sessions, which I'm going to talk about. And you go into the details of each of this business requirement and say, tell me how this should be done in the system. And those are your actual requirements that you're responsible for gathering, which goes in FRD or a use case or a user story. So when you go and meet the business to talk about ability to download statements, that's when you're going to ask them, all right, so what is the format in which you want them to be downloaded? How should they be doing it? Do you want an icon over here which says download? Do you want the link? All those things. And that's when you gather your actual requirements. So a business requirement is a high level requirement, tells you what's of the project. It is used to define the scope of the project, but it does not tell you the detailed requirements, which we're yet going to capture. Get it? So
Yes.
hence, the very first thing we have to do is we have to first define this document. We define the scope of the project, and then we'll capture the house of this. All right, so those are all my requirements related to managing accounts. Now I want to talk about funds management. So ability for the user to add a bill, ability for the user to pay a bill, ability for the user to transfer funds, ability for the user to view bill payment history, ability for the user to view transfer funds history. These are all my requirements for funds management. And then what are my requirements for checks management? Ability for the user to order checks, ability for the user to edit an order, ability for the user to cancel an order, ability for the user to place a recurring order, ability for the user to view order history. So this is your complete BRD. It's not that lengthy, but it's the most important document. So let's just write one sentence so you have it with you. And we say that a BRD is used to define the scope of the project. BRD is used to define the scope of the project. All right, so going back to where we were, I hope this rings a bell. I'm going to again talk about it just so you refresh this. So I was explaining you how does a project begin. So the first thing is business owner comes up with an idea of an IT project. Business owner hires a project manager. Project manager hires a senior BA, a system architect, a senior developer. And these people, they go and meet the business owner and ask him a question saying, do you have a BRD for us? 10 out of 10 times, the business owner does not have a BRD. So senior BA sets up a meeting with the business owner and asks the business owner all these questions and comes up with a BRD. So what do you think should this BA do after the BRD is documented? What is the next logical thing?
Maybe contact project manager.
Why?
To maybe meet, like have a team meeting and try to decide what can be done in here.
No.
Oh, okay. Maybe like analyze each of these points. Like, for example, ability to offer the user to register. So
Right.
how will the designer
So
do it?
you're going again in the wrong direction.
I take my words back.
Anyone else?
I think try to understand where the business is right now, and then see what is the first thing that has to be done in going to achieve this business goal that has been set up. So what is right now in the business, what's the process is, and then how do we get at the end of this proposal?
Okay. So what happens here is that what you need to do is you want to tell the business owner that this is what I've captured, but have I captured everything that you wanted? You don't want later on that the business owner comes back to you and say, I told you this as well, I told you that as well. Why you don't have that captured? So basically, what I do after this is I set up a meeting with the business owner once again. I set up a meeting with the business owner and I walk him through the entire BRD. And I say, this is what you told, this is what I have. Are we on the same page? If we are, what do you need to do? What do you ask him to do?
Review the BRD and approve it.
Yes, so you want to take a sign off. That's the most important thing. So you review this document with the business owner and you say, can you, have I captured everything that you want in this project? And if the business owner says yes, then you want to take a sign off. So once you take a sign off, it means that you have defined, you have gathered the scope of the project. Your project scope is locked now. Nothing will change. So you want to get a sign off. So once the business owner gives you a sign off on the BRD, we now know that exactly what the project scope is. Then the next thing that happens is project manager creates a document which is known as a project charter. Any idea what a charter is? It talks about how much time, how much budget will be needed to do this project. So based on the BRD, the project manager, based on the BRD, the project manager will talk about, will run some numbers, will run some formulas, and will come up with an estimate for this. And then once once the business owner agrees to the time frame and how much long will it take for the team to do the project, the next thing that happens is a project kick-off meeting is conducted. And this triggers the start of the project. So a project kickoff meeting is conducted. So what is a kickoff meeting? It's nothing but kickoff is you say that, well, the goal of this, you again review the BRD, you review the time frame, you review the budget, and you ensure that we all are on the same page and let's start the project. And when you do this kickoff meeting, that is what triggers your SDLC. This is what triggers your SDLC. So I want you to quickly understand this, and I'm going to stop after this because this is a great logical point for us to stop. So let's write this down. So the moment the project kickoff meeting happens, your real IT project begins and you are triggering your SDLC. SDLC stands for System Development Life Cycle. And I want you to type this exactly in this order, in this direction. All right, so does anyone need more time on this to write this? Okay, so what do you think is SDLC?
The point where, like, from point A to B, like step by step process.
Perfect. So let's write this one-line statement or definition for SDLC. SDLC is the life cycle. SDLC is the life cycle of the project. It is the life cycle of the project. So if you have to work on any IT project, these are the steps you take in this order to complete the project. So this is where I would like to stop in this session. In the next session, I'm going to restart with SDLC, and I'll explain you the details of what happens in each phase and go into more details of the actual role of a business analyst.